government bullies. That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. G'day, Charles Mackenzie from Infected Blood Australia, and I am going to talk to you about government bullies. I think quite a few of us might be feeling the pinch because of government bullies, having been coerced into experimental jabs or forced into them at your work, otherwise you'd be sacked, and numerous other things related to the government bullying us these last 2 years. Well, I'm making this video today because I'm going to probably find it difficult to make a video soon. My conditions have progressed. As I've said to you before, I've got a bunch of conditions. I'm a contaminated blood survivor. I've been so since a kid. And in fact, the Sydney Morning Herald, if you saw recently, they had a story, I think last week. There you go. Inquiry hears how a Sydney schoolboy was given blood from a heroin addict. That's right. And that's where the story began in the 1980s. And here I am with my medicinal cannabis, which I'm running very low on, but I'm having to have today in order to be able to do this video. I'll explain why in a second. So, yes, I've had this degenerative neurological problem, and it's making it difficult for a lot of these muscles to work. And what's happening now is it's basically, it's like having a numbing, this wave of numbing muscles all over you, and it's like I'm being strangled all the time now. It's like all this area is numb, and it's numb on my right side, so it's like I'm suffocating. Constantly, struggling for air. I didn't sleep last night, and when it gets like this, I can sleep for as much as a week, 2 weeks, not even a wink of sleep. You give me all these powerful medications, and I wouldn't sleep. With medicinal cannabis, I would, but not with pharmaceutical medications. It must be something to do with this condition. And this right here, this is an indica strain of medicinal cannabis, as I've explained before. And this seems to allow my muscles to work, which helps me breathe. And just then, see, I now have to lie on my left if I want to breathe properly to get a full lung, because this side is now not working. So this is basically my life now. I get fevers, I get migraine, and I get itchy skin, and I get this thing where my brain keeps on telling my bladder that it needs to go to the toilet, or my bladder tells my brain, I don't know which, but it makes mistakes, and it's a phantom. It doesn't need to, and it does this every 5 minutes. So I spend my entire night being told I need to go to the bathroom. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So it's impossible to sleep for even half an hour, okay, without being disturbed. Now, to get around that, I used these things here. There's a couple of pieces of chocolate brownie here. They are. You can use your prescription and you can turn it into a brownie, an edible. Okay. I might have some now. I think I had some on New Year's Eve. Did you see that video? I said it tasted a bit like a brownie if it had been made on a farm or something. I should have said barnyard. But I love the results. The results make my muscles work. I've had some before this video so I could talk to you, because now it's getting in the way of my speech as these muscles get tighter. I feel like I'm being strangled to death every day. I'm running low on my medicinal cannabis. It's costing a huge amount of money, and this condition's wanting more and more. You can see there sort of price tags, $480 for a thing, a couple of packs like this, for, not even 10 grams. It's double the price what it would be from a criminal street dealer. I don't go to them. I don't want to go to anyone that deals drugs. I just want to get my medicinal cannabis, okay? I don't want anything to do with any drug outside of my prescription, okay? So, but my prescription's run into trouble. The pharmacy that dispensed it has closed near me, so it's a real job of work. They won't send the THC type of medicinal cannabis that I need through the post. So basically, yeah. And also, I just can't afford it. And so basically, I'm not going to be able to have it. I don't know how long for. Maybe I'll die in that period. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm going to have this last bits of cannabis here before I enter into absolute hell. I look forward to fits, itchy skin. That's my full spectrum cannabis oil, which is not available on prescription. I have to make that myself using my prescription. And it's very difficult to make with my hands the way that they are. But I do it in order to survive. And now I'm coming to the end of the line. So, I was contaminated by a contaminated platelet transfusion in 1988. It was past its shelf-by date, and they gave it to me anyway. It had no therapeutic benefit as a result, okay? And it also came from a donor that they should never have collected blood from, that they knew they should never have collected blood from. And yet they did anyway. The donor was a drug addict and was on heroin, coke and ice and goodness knows what else. And he did that to me when I was a kid. That was me before this nightmare. There you go. Here I am now, struggling for breath and feeling like I'm being strangled every day. And clearly, it's not going to end well. So after they found out my blood donor was infected, you would have thought when they interviewed him, when he admitted to being a user of heroin and ice and goodness knows, not ice, but he was on heroin, cocaine and something else, sharing needles, heroin, speed and cocaine. Just want to get that clear. It's all there in the article from the Sydney Morning Herald. It's all there in my statement to the UK infected blood inquiry that I was a witness of, which is examining the infected blood scandal or investigating it. And after they found out that he was a drug user, they then invited him to keep on donating more blood. Can you believe it? And they then made that into blood products for people with the bleeding disorder haemophilia. And I was able to expose all of this. And of course, 1,400 haemophiliacs in Australia were killed by contaminated blood, hepatitis C contaminated blood, HIV contaminated blood. And they were knowingly using infectious donors. And so I raised the alarm. And then what happened was the Australian Red Cross Lifeblood tried to jail me when I tried to raise that alarm 20 years ago. I was also able to force a Senate inquiry into hepatitis C and the Australian blood supply. It was a massive cover-up. It's laughable. If you go and read it, I think they've taken it off online now because I think they know that the cover-up doesn't look so good for Australia. But you can go to infectedbloodaustralia.com and have a look at the evidence section and you'll see lots of it there. It was a shocking cover-up, but the senators, as a sort of an offering at the end of it, unanimously agreed that there should be alternative therapies provided to people like myself and to contaminated blood victims because the antiviral therapies are just so harsh. Not everyone could tolerate them. Not everyone was safe to have them, like myself. I've still got hepatitis C. Other people have been cured, but because I've got a pre-existing condition, bone marrow failure, I've been unable to get a bone marrow transplant. Yeah, I can't take those antivirals, and cannabis is a great antiviral, so I was using that. But I still have the virus, and unfortunately the virus is basically killing me. It's now gone to my brain, it's replicated, and it's gone to town. I managed to keep the cancer that's so often associated with hepatitis C off my liver. That was because I avoided pharmaceuticals, in my opinion. I looked after myself. I try and avoid these. Here's some codeine, which, I took a couple of them. It was prescribed to me ages ago. I took a couple. It made no difference to me whatsoever. In fact, it took about 2. Made no difference whatsoever. Made me feel more ill. I don't want it. I don't want pharmaceuticals that will damage my liver. Here is that. There's like some Nurofen stuff. I take those when I'm absolutely desperate. They could cause bleeding. I'm not supposed to have them because I have a bleeding disorder. More Nurofen, they're my options. Maxolon for nausea because I feel nauseous. Did I mention that? I vomit 3 times a day when I don't have cannabis. I feel nauseous all the time. And this is the drug they give me to stop that. It doesn't work. Okay, so basically I've been relying on this which I can no longer have. So I'm in for a really bumpy ride going forward, it has to be said. And I believe that I'm a victim, not just believe, I know that I'm a victim of crime. And yet the Australian government did this to me and tens of thousands of others. We've got other people in our group that can't sleep because they've been left with neurological problems as a result of the Hep C and other issues. They don't sleep for a week, and then they have to have a sleeping tablet and things that they would rather not have. Okay? I'd rather have natural medicine. But of course, the government's owned by Big Pharma, isn't it? You know that, don't you? If you're watching this, you do know that, don't you? My name's Charles Mackenzie. I just want you to know the Australian government is as corrupt as it gets. And as far as first world Western governments go, yeah. If you don't believe me, before the 2000s, the world had a contaminated blood scandal. People in Canada were helped, people in Scotland, people in Ireland, people in Wales. Now, England has got an infected blood inquiry, a legal investigation. They're helping victims. They're expected to compensate families affected. But there's one country that said that everything that happened with its deadliest medical scandal happened with best science advice, best health advice. And that country is Australia. The same country that is coercing everybody into injections and putting restrictions on us for the Omicron or for COVID-19, which are hundreds of times less deadly than the hepatitis C virus and the HIV viruses they gave to thousands of Australians, and in many cases knowingly, like my case, knowingly did it. They did it to me as a kid. It's been my whole life. And now I struggle for air. And you might watch this video thinking, he's doing the violins. No, I'm a fighter. No, I'm not doing that. The reason I'm making this video is because it's evidence. And the reason I'd like you to watch this evidence is because this year in 2022, if I stay alive, I'm going to sue the Australian government for the criminal harm that they've done to my life and to the life of my family. And I hope that I'm joined, I know I will be, by the members of our group. You don't get to do this. You don't get to make me have to ration my medication so that I don't have to live in pain. Do you know I don't get to sleep? Do you know I'll have fits without this? Do you know what the government has done to my life? Hey, they did this knowingly. And to protect their big pharma mates, I have to take the drugs, but I can't take the natural stuff that they do everything to get in the way. Do you think we've really got medicinal cannabis in Australia? We don't. It's a sham. You know, half the time the product they give us has got chemicals on it. I know, because it makes me sick. I'm allergic to the chemicals. Please, if you're watching this video, please go to our bio, if you haven't done already, and click on the link supporting a Royal Commission of Inquiry. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put a link down below for you to do that. Also, to click on a link supporting a Royal Commission into the Australian Red Cross CSL infected blood scandal, okay? It's Australia's deadliest medical scandal, and you've never heard about it because Australia is owned by corruption, okay? Australia's owned by Big Pharma, and they don't want you watching this. This is why you never ever heard about this scandal. And they want to kill the last of us off, people like me and others, by denying us our medicine, doing everything they can. Costs me a fortune. I have to spend 15 grand a year, 15,000 bucks a year to be able to breathe, to be able to go to the toilet, and to be able to walk in a straight line. Do you think that's fair when I was infected as a kid through their criminal negligence, and they then made me spend 30 years investigating and exposing the damn thing? Do you think that's fair? That's my future. What do you think is going to happen to people that are affected by adverse events as a result of these coerced experimental jabs? There've already been many of them. We've been contacted in the group by people who've lost loved ones. I've got a family member who was injured by one. What do you think is going to happen to those people? I think what's going to happen is they're going to experience decades of denials and cover-up. And my fear is they'll be like that kid there. And they'll end up like me now, feeling like I'm being strangled to death every bloody day with no hope. Well, if I've got one hope, it's that, I'll tell you what, the hope is that I'm going to get justice for that kid, for myself, yeah, and for thousands of others. If I die, this fight will go on. Let this be evidence of what they did to us. They did everything to get in our way. Thank you for your time.